There we go. We are live. We are live. We are live. Listen. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hits and Heels. It's Wednesday night. It's 9 o'clock. And I got a, I got another treat tonight. So listen. So my name is Coach Terry Bryant. My guest tonight is Mrs. Tiffeany Roderick, and she is the owner of First and 10 LLC, and it is a football program for women. And I can't wait for you all to hear about it. So one of the reasons why I had started Hits and Heels is because I am a football coach. I'm a female football coach that, of course, there's not a whole lot of female football coaches that are around at all. And so I absolutely love football. And so I just kind of thought that starting this platform would kind of just, help put the women's WFA, the league that I play, that I coach at, kind of on a map, because a lot of people don't know that there's actually women's tackle football out here. And of course there's not a lot of women coaches. But when I'm able to link with other women that love the game just as much as I do, I am absolutely blown away. And so this is what happened. So I've found Tiff. I don't even know how I found you. So I find Tiffeany. She has this group. Oh my God. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just let her just come in and just take over. And she is getting ready to tell y'all about this group and this organization that she has created for women. Go ahead, Tiffeany, and take it away. First of all, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach Terry. And I just want I just want to share with you, I don't know if you noticed this, but every time I have addressed you, I address you as Coach Terry because I have so much respect for coaches. My father was a coach, and I know how hard it can be, how much sometimes a thankless job that it can be, but at the end of the day, rewarding to you individually. So I just want to say that I appreciate you and appreciate you having me on your platform.
Oh, absolutely. It is definitely an honor to have you here.
Thank
So go ahead and give us, you gave me your bio, but I want
Yes.
everyone to hear it from your words, who you are, what got you started, how did you create your First and 10 program?
Sure. So I was working in corporate America, and I had a coworker who was from Egypt, and I love all sports. And I was living in San Diego at the time. We were about to go to a Padres game, and she was like, I don't know. I don't know anything about baseball. And I said, okay, well, I really want you to go. How about we do this I called it Tiffany's boot camp at the time. And within a couple of weeks before going to the game, we were doing quizzes and I was just sharing with her the fundamentals, and she got it. And I said, I think I have something here that I was able to break this down and to someone who has never seen the game before, and just make it plain for her. And so I put it in my back pocket because I had some personal goals that I wanted to achieve. And again, baseball is just not my love. Football is my love. And I picked the hardest one.
Right. Football is the hardest
to at least teach and share with folks.
Yes.
So
especially with women.
I'm sorry?
Especially with women.
Absolutely. So I put it in my back pocket for a little bit, and just kind of fast forward a few years. My dad, who was my inspiration, was critically ill, and we were in the middle of a pandemic. And I decided to create First and 10 so that he could see a little bit of his legacy before he passed, and he was able to do so. At the time I was working full time in aerospace, and I didn't really feel like I fit in that puzzle. But I was going through it and doing First and 10 full time. So I created First and 10 as a way to help create more female football fans so that women can enjoy the game from the perspective of a fan or an informed mom. and just have a good time. And I'm sure you've experienced being the only woman at a party that's into the game, right?
Yes.
And so I want to create other people that have that same kind of enthusiasm and understanding of the game. And I think once we get a handle on it, we're like, okay, that makes sense, I get it. And so here I am. And what I do as a business is I create online and in-person experiences for women who want to learn about football.
Perfect. I mean, I think that's kind of the reason why I really wanted to start Hits and Heels was I wanted to be able to do exactly that, was just be able to get on here and talk football, have a conversation from a female perspective, sometimes about the game. And then sometimes I wanted to kind of get on and kind of teach, but I never got around to really teaching. I've mostly just been getting on and, just kind of just interviewing people and just highlighting their lives and stuff like that. But you get to come on here and we get to kind of talk football and we get to kind of teach a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that I think that is at a disadvantage for most women is that we don't play.
Right.
Right. So, and even as a female coach, I think that's probably one of the biggest arguments why I don't get the respect that I do is because they're like, well, you didn't even play the game. Right. So I love the fact that I can actually coach women. And then there are other women that actually played, like Lori Locust, Jennifer King, they actually played. They came from the league that I coach in. And, and they can say that they played the game. And that's what I want to do. I just want to bring more awareness to the game. But oh my God, you had this, I didn't take any notes, but you had this one post the other day about women wanting, I think was it a checklist, different reasons why women should learn the game of football so that they can watch it with their husband, something like that.
Yeah.
What was that?
It was basically, 3 reasons why, how football helps your relationships, or 3 ways that watching football together helps your relationships. So early on in 1st and 10, one of my nieces was involved, and she's actually a licensed marriage and family therapist. And so we were kind of going that route early on. And I appreciated that. She has gone on to start her own practice. So I still talk about it a little bit, but I'm not the relationship expert. Occasionally she'll chime in.
But those 3 points were really, really good. And I would like for you to go over those. If can you?
Those 3 points, if I can remember them, because I have several points that I usually talk about, but one is to just to have something in common with your spouse, to have an idea of something common, common ground, to learn something new, or to learn something together. People assume that men are born with this particular skill, but they're not. They learn it just like us. And there are plenty of men that get paid millions of dollars that talk about football that have never played, but we are the only people who get the smoke, right?
I think I like because I like listening to like Cam Newton has a podcast and he talks about it. And one of the things that he that really just gets him mad is that I played at this level.
Yes.
And you're criticizing and being critical of a game and you didn't even play, or you didn't, or you might have played, but you never got to the level that I got. And so why are you criticizing me as an elite quarterback that went to, I think he went to the Super Bowl, right? And he has won a national championship in college, and then you want to act like he doesn't know what he's talking about. So I totally get that. But some of us do know what we're talking about.
That's right. And you can critique something because you've never done it. I mean, I've never worn certain outfits, but I can say that I don't like it, right?
Absolutely. Same here.
Right. You can critique something from a perspective of a viewer and a fan.
Yes.
And sometimes when you're in something, it's more difficult for you to see than as an outside viewer, right? So it's like watching tape. When you're in the
Yes.
game, you're like, oh, I didn't see that. Now you come back and you
Yes.
watch the
So when
tape,
you
you're
go
like,
back and watch it,
oh,
and it's like, yes, totally different perspective, right? And
hmm
so I think that right there is like just dead on about the game, because
yeah,
everybody has their different perspective of the game. And then you have your favorite team. And so
right,
then your perspective is going to be skewed because of who you like and who you don't like. Like if
right,
you don't like a team, you're going to be critical of that team just because you just don't like the team, or you don't like a coach, or you don't like a
right.
player, or you don't it's all relative. It's just all an opinion. And I think sometimes in
Exactly.
society we get facts and opinions uh mixed up,
100%. I
especially when
100%
it
agree
comes to
with
when
that.
we're talking about sports.
Yeah.
Especially when we're
Yeah.
talking about sports. Yeah,
Yeah,
especially when
100%. And there's numbers that substantiate these things, right? But, people will say whatever it is that they want to say about their team. And I will, I will be the first to admit, I know as an individual, like on my personal page, I will say different things about the Cowboys than I say in the group, right?
right.
Because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I am talking about football in general, right? And
Yes.
I always make jokes, and people, will troll me sometimes. You may see people post something about the Cowboys in
Nobody
there,
come
and
to
I'm
my
just like, yeah,
page talking about no Cowboys, or they will get deleted. Or I'll
I
call them out. I mean, I've had some people that come to my page. I said, you know what? I said, how you gonna come and say something to me about my Cowboys and you ain't never responded to nothing else on my page, and I'm posting stuff.
exactly. It's
I've
like,
been
who are
posting
you?
stuff since 2009. We've been friends because you can go and see how long we've been friends on there. We've
Right?
been friends for so long, and this is the first time you get ready to come to my page.
Yeah,
You're not gonna come to my page and talk about my Cowboys.
exactly. And
You know,
I
one of
will
my best
admit, I
friends
am
is on here.
fanatical.
She's a Cowboys fan. We're not getting ready to play. Don't come to our page with that foolishness.
Yeah,
And you can't come to us and congratulate us on something with my son, or something dealing with my daughter, or
yeah,
something with my husband, but you can
right.
come and troll me about my Cowboy. Come on.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're putting you on notice. We don't do that.
Yeah, you know what? I will welcome it to a certain extent as long as it's not really derogatory
Yeah.
or explicit. But I'm a fan, and I don't
Yes.
apologize for being fanatical. If you're not fanatical about your team, you're just an observer. Yes, I will say every year as a fan, the Cowboys are making.
We're
I'm
going
putting
to
it
the
in the
Super Bowl.
atmosphere.
We're going to the Super Bowl every year.
I am going to say that, and as a kid, my father used to take me to training camp
Oh wow.
to watch the Cowboys out
Mhm.
in Thousand Oaks, California at the time, and that was when gosh, I'm about to date myself, but I was a little kid though.
That's all
But when
right.
Tom Landry was the coach and, Too Tall Jones was playing defense, I mean, that's how far back, my
Yeah.
love for the
Oh,
Cowboys
what a
goes. And it was
blessing,
just
though.
something that we did as a family because it was something close by. And at the time, it wasn't the media circus that today's training camp is. It's
Mhm.
very different. And now, actually, it's in my hometown of Oxnard, California every year. So occasionally I will go and get some footage for the internet, but also the Rams and Chargers are also down the street, so I try to balance it out.
Oh my
Because if
God,
I
that
if
is
I
a
if I
dream.
for me, I would be at Cowboys training camp every day.
Every day. Yeah. I would probably schedule my vacation days around that time just so I can
Yeah,
make it. Yeah. So the Bengals used to host theirs up here, but I never went because I
okay.
wasn't a Bengals fan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't a Bengals fan. But even Mr. Brown said that sports and politics triggers a different type of emotion, and it can get funky. It really can. And
Absolutely.
sometimes it is just too much. It is not that serious. Like, it's not that serious to me. I'm serious about my Cowboys,
Mm-hmm.
But when people are coming at me, and I tell them, I said, you say whatever you want to say, but you're not going to deter me from not.
Right.
I mean, I'm probably just as mad at them as you are.
Right.
But
Right.
sometimes they're just too much.
Yeah.
And just for the record, since we're gonna talk about our Cowboys right now.
Okay.
Thank you all for I just thank them for keeping us relevant, because we haven't done nothing since 2003. But they look forward to us losing so that they can put up all the memes and stuff. And I've gotten to the point where my conspiracy theory is this, that they don't want us to win, because then nobody's got nothing to say.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, look, I look I look at it like whenever somebody says something, I'm like, keep talking. Pretty soon I can cancel my NFL Sunday ticket because all my Cowboys games will be televised. They're almost, I mean, I think I probably only watched like maybe 3 or 4 of them this year on Sunday tickets. So they're almost all televised anyway. Yes. So keep it going.
And I think they are, because I think I watched all of them this year because I have DirecTV, and when DirecTV no longer carried the Sunday ticket, I didn't have it, but I didn't miss a game. So it was on, here in our area. It was televised. Yeah. It was televised at every game, every game. Yeah. Mr. Brown said Dallas fan base has an unbelievable amount of fandom, perhaps them and the UK Wildcats. So we're Wildcat fans here, and they probably just as crazy as we are. And we are truly Americans team, right, Trina? We are truly American team, and they are almost televised. Yes, I think they were all televised this year. So yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because of the fan base,
right?
Because of the fan base. So okay, so let's go back to your class. So what can we, if we were to book one of your events, what could we expect?
So I have some events that are cookie cutter. So I did a brand new event this year, which was Introduction to Fantasy Football. So these ladies, we followed each other all the way from the beginning of the season. We did a live draft. We went in and I do things a little bit different because we're learning. So every week I sent them a reminder and I said, hey, don't forget to change your team. Hey, the buys start this week, so make sure your lineup is in check, that kind of thing. So I do things a little bit different because it's about learning. But there are 2 ways that you can go about this. So the main way is you can say, hey, I want an introduction to football class or a football one-on-one class. And that will just be basic standard. History is important to me, and I think it's really important to learning the game. And if you've been in I know that you've been kind of watching in the group, every week I try to put something historic in there because it's important to have a grasp of where the NFL has come from and why things are a certain way, why someone that's in the AFC West isn't in the West, and how the merger impacted that. So it's important to have that kind of understanding as a fan. So I do add some history into that as well. And if someone has a group of ladies that are in a book club or a sorority and they say, hey, we want to do something different besides the standard things that we do, either online or in person, I can create a customized class. I will send a questionnaire to try to find out where everybody is, and then I'll create a custom class for them. And I will try to incorporate the ideas of whatever organization that they're a part of.
Okay. So if you have an organization, or depending on where they are, or if they have like a fan base of a certain team, you can cater it like towards that particular team or something like that. Is that
that something like that? Or if someone is someone is a part of a sorority and they have certain tenets that they that's a part of their value system, because First and 10 also has tenets, right? And as we are learning about this game, I also want to make sure that we're talking about I like to incorporate life concepts and football concepts. So to let you know where that came from, when I had my first live class in 2021, I was Zoom bombed. So for anyone who doesn't know what Zoom bombing is, they came in, they took over my screen, and just think of the most racist, the most explicit things that someone could put on your screen. That happened to me. And I was devastated. My class was full, so I knew that I wouldn't have a full class the next day. So I walked around ready to try again and try the class again. But I came up with what I call the first and 10 mentality, which is to be relentless, right? And to be advocates for women and the community, to be coachable and forever evolving. And every woman can relate to football, whether we realize it or not. We have our
Absolutely.
team, our spouse. I like to think of my spouse as my covering my blind side, you know,
Yes.
and my therapist, my pastor. So we all have our front five
Yes.
that's there helping us to reach our goal. So every woman, whether we recognize it or not, can relate to the concepts of football. And so I try to take whatever it is that an organization has as their tenets and try to incorporate it into the learning of football. Because if it's something that you believe in and that you can relate to, you can remember it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just think that, so when I'm coaching on my women's team, I think one of the biggest things that I've always said is that, guys, you got to go learn the game. Like, you got to go learn the terminology. But
Yeah.
I'm telling them that, but I haven't been presenting. I don't think I've been doing any justice for my team, because I'm just saying it, but then I'm not putting anything. And I'm not gonna lie. I love what you do in your group,
Thank
when
you.
you'll put like a football term in there, and then you'll describe it, and then you'll show how it's applicable. Um, and I think that is just genius that you came up with that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to have women who hold me accountable too, because sometimes women will be like, "Can you give me examples?" I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
let me give examples too." So sometimes you don't realize that people are listening, and sometimes you feel like you are putting information into the blank internet because folks are reading, and you try to go by the stats and what you see coming back to you. And okay, my engagement was up. That's how I am an individual who has to grade myself somehow, right? So I
Mhm.
have to decide, okay, oh, I didn't post as much, but my engagement was up. What did I do this week that was great? Let me try to do more of that kind of
Mhm.
thing. But the women in the group are everybody's positive. I haven't really had to remove anybody in a long time.
Oh, you had to
And
remove someone? You said a
oh
long time.
yeah,
Why?
well, because people like to use. I don't mind any, because I don't knock any woman's hustle. If you are selling anything and you
Oh,
can take it back to football,
yeah.
I don't. I'm like, hey, that's great. That's creative stuff. There was an artist in my class who was drawing like a picture of a football team. I'm like, and she was, selling her services. I'm like, that's great. I love the creativity of that. But you got to bring it back to football somehow. Figure it out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So if you're just on there selling purses and it's not germane to
Another
what we're
step.
discussing in this group,
Right.
this is just not the platform for you.
Gotcha. Okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense. So for those that are watching, so her group First Intent is, and it's for ladies only.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, it's only for the ladies. So if you
Sorry,
got
guys.
a wife, fiance, woman, or whatever, daughter that is interested in football, you definitely have to go. Matter of fact, I think if you go to my stories, matter of fact, when I shared this, I actually tagged the group, and so you guys can actually go to on Facebook and see where I actually tagged her group, and then she can approve you. But of course, you have to go. I think you got to answer some questions or something like that, just like most groups, um, to make sure that she screens who's coming into her group. Um, and go and join. So if you're a woman, please go and join, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So she put what was it the other day? It was a hospital catch. Is that what you call it?
Hospital pass.
A hospital pass. Okay. So I knew what it was, but I didn't know it was called a hospital. I didn't know it actually had a name, right?
Yeah.
And so for those that know football, so she put a term in the group, and it was called a hospital pass, right? So a hospital pass is when the quarterback basically throws the ball up and sets his wide receiver up for failure, and they get laid out. So we've seen those type of, but I never heard it termed a hospital pass. But it definitely makes sense, because most of the time you set that wide receiver up for failure because you threw it up in the middle of the field, and he had to go up and get it in the middle of traffic, and gets totally just pulverized. And a lot of times wide receivers will get injured from that pass. And so that's just kind of one of the examples that just really I was just so excited about, because again, I learned something, because I don't know everything, and I don't never claim to be. I'm still learning football myself. But that was just a great term that I thought was that we were able to learn, that it's called a hospital pass, because the quarterback sets up the wide receivers, and most of the time they end up in the hospital. How about that?
Yeah, thank you so much. I shared with you. Thank you. I shared with you that I will watch and listen to the analysts, and sometimes they'll use term like, "Oh, that's a great one for the group," and I'll take notes and bring it back, because as a fan, you learn a lot from the analysts if you just listen. But if you don't know what they're saying, no one's going to go back and Google that later. Yeah. So then I put an example, because Tom Brady was talking about earlier this year how quarterbacks need to be more responsible about how they're making these passes, because the defense gets blamed. And we have that example recently in Pittsburgh, right, where, I can't think of his name. He was suspended for 2 games at the end of the season because of a hit that he made. And
but it was the quarterback's fault.
Exactly. He was put in a situation where, like, and then what is he supposed to do? He doesn't have brakes on his cleats, right? So and it's one of those situations. So it's happening, and it's going to continue to happen more and more these days, because of how much protection the offense gets, and how difficult, just like you shared earlier, cornerbacks have a hard job, and they are the most athletic people on the field. And these days they swat, and then there's a 15-yard penalty, which could be the call of a winning or losing a game.
Well, my husband is a defensive coach, so I definitely. So I'm not gonna lie. The most of the rules are for the offense as opposed to for the
That's
defense.
Right.
And even I teach my middle schoolers and my girls. If you're a wide receiver and you're getting the pass and it's short, come back and get it. I said, because you're going to make contact, and 9 out of 10 you're going to get that pass interference.
Right.
And it's not fair to the DB.
That's right.
At all. My son plays DB, and it is not fair that again, it's the quarterback's fault. It was short, and so to prevent an interception, that wide receiver you got to come back and get the ball, right? But if you make contact with that DB,
that's
9
right.
times out of 10 it's going to go in the favor of that wide receiver, even though the ball was short or maybe even uncatchable.
Exactly. 100%.
It's so not fair. But when I tell you my husband be mad, ooh. Well, because he's a DB coach, because he's like, well, he's like, well, how am I supposed to teach my kids? The proper technique would do that when the rule isn't in in their favor. You know, one of my
Right.
wide receivers is on the is on now. And she said she's mastered the art of the flop to get
Good job, sis.
to get her past interference calls. And that's just the facts. That's just so true. But
Yeah.
I teach that
Right.
because I teach it based off of because of the rule.
Right.
You know, but they need to change the rule. But I don't agree with the rule. But
Yeah.
while I'm coaching, I'm going to use it to my advantage.
Absolutely.
You know, hands down. Hands down. But I think you can't touch the quarterback at all. Like, I don't know how, if you're coming full speed, because we teach go full speed, how you're supposed to just ease up and stop your momentum from going and not get a roughing of the passer.
Right.
And again, they flop as well too. And they flop too. They flop too. So anyway, so Mr. Brown said, can you talk to us about fantasy football, and what about the new gambling platforms? Have you gotten into any of the gambling platforms?
No, I play fantasy football, and it's kind of a funny story. And I shared this when I was teaching my fantasy football class. I was so anti-fantasy football. I'm like, I cannot, under any circumstances, root for any player who's playing against the Cowboys. I'm not doing it. So I don't know why you guys are trying to get me to do this, and I finally decided that, okay, this year I'm going to do it, right? And it was a great way for me, as someone who was working in a male-dominated space, to kind of bond with my male coworkers over something. I knew football. As a woman, sometimes I'm hesitant to share that that knowledge, just because I just don't want the the question down. You know how it can be.
Yes, the question down, because it's like they always got to test your gangster to see what
exactly
what you actually know. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but fantasy football, I play. If the question that I think maybe he might be getting at is if it's impacting the results of games, I don't know if I have enough information to share that, but I can say that I spotted a lot of calls that I felt were questionable on games that we won, on games that other people won. And I don't know if, I know that maybe 4 refs retired last year and they got to bring people up and they got to put new people in. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I can see how people can believe that is a little suspicious.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm convinced that the game is rigged, that it's truly entertainment, just like WWE. That it's just
please don't say
of, that it's just entertainment. So the NFL is an entertainment company. It is not a sports company, right?
That's true.
But that kind of just takes the fun out of it a little bit, because you really, really just want the best teams to win, or
right.
But when you go back and look at certain calls, referees really, really can change the momentum of the game.
Yes.
By not making a call that probably should have been made, or making a call that you're like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Right. And it could totally just change the momentum of the game. And so I've kind of looked at it. So I started looking to see what Vegas is doing, or who Vegas chose, and then where the majority of the gamblers are betting. And a lot of times, if it looks like the gamblers are at an advantage, somehow the game gets flipped to where they lose.
Yeah.
Right. And so I do think Vegas does have a hand in some of, with dealing with, with fantasy football. And of course, fantasy, all that affects fantasy football, depending on who gets their numbers and who doesn't get their numbers, or who scores or who don't score.
Right.
It absolutely does play a big part of that. And I just hate that it's come to that. It's just come to, like anything else in society, everything is just coming to about the dollar, and not necessarily about the integrity of the game.
Right.
Which is so unfortunate because you love the game so much. But there
Yeah.
ain't no way in heck the Cowboys shouldn't have. I got another conspiracy theory. I've been waiting for you to get on here just so we could talk about it. So the last Cowboys game. So I felt that Quinn sabotaged the defense because he wanted McCarty's job.
You know, what's interesting about that is, how do you get a job after your defense performs like that?
A head coaching job after you can't even run a defense.
Right.
So you're expected. We want you to come in and run a whole team, but you can't even freaking run a defense with all the. I mean, you're stacked with the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Yes. It didn't make sense.
With one of the best defenses in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you get a head coaching job.
Yeah, that didn't make sense to me.
Right.
It didn't make sense to me because as somebody interviewing, I would have showed him that picture of the wide receiver all alone in the right-hand corner all by himself.
Right. That'd have been like, what was your call on it?
Can you explain to me what happened here?
Yes. Like, what are you teaching? Like, you shouldn't have to teach that. Like,
right.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like, was that just a blown coverage? Well, what was the deal with that?
Right.
But it's a reflection of you.
Right. Exactly. 100%. And in our day-to-day jobs, this is why I always compare football to corporate America. There's no way that I would be able to be like, okay, after I have ruined an event or a customer visit and just put in an application for a promotion and that not come up and me not be able to explain what my role is in preparing my people. Like what? I don't that it was really confusing. Yeah. Yes. So we're here on that. Yes.
I mean, I knew we was gonna just talk football all day.
I know. But listen, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation because people will ask me all the time, well, what do you do when football season is over? And so I ask them the question back, when is football season over? And so they always go to the NFL. I'm like, no. There are other leagues. There are women who play, of course, the interest level is different, but that's changing. And so, I would hope that I'm preparing myself to be in a space that's 365 and I can have that interest, throughout the entire year. But even the UFL and the other women's leagues, the Women's National Football Conference. I mean,
the other women's league. Oh yeah,
we got exactly. So there are other leagues out there.
Our games are streamed live as we're playing. So even if you don't come to the game live, we do have a live stream.
Right.
And most of the other teams actually have a live stream as well. So you could still watch it 24. Our season starts April 27th.
Yes. Yeah. So that's great for folks to hear, especially in the group platform, because everyone's just starts moving to basketball. No. Great for you. I mean, I love basketball too, but
we get a little bit of break. We take a pause for like March Madness.
Right.
We get March Madness, and then after March Madness, we're back to watching football again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because women is playing, and then the new the Rock's new league has merged, I think. So
the UFL,
the XFL, or what, I don't even know what it's called. The Unified Football League. I think the UFL. I think now the Unified Football League now will start about the same time as ours. And so we still got football 24.
Exactly.
I mean 365. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got football going on. Yeah. Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't like baseball. I only watch baseball when my son plays, but I can't.
It's a patience game. However, I can bring this back. I can bring this back to football though. This is why I feel Patrick Mahomes is such a good quarterback, because that focus that you have to have as a pitcher, that standing on that mound and one on one with the batter is bar none, and having that experience and having that option to be able to either go to the major leagues or go to the NFL. Like, he was that elite at both games, to carry that skill set into on the football field is so obvious. Man, I always say that I believe that's also why he's the best slider in the game too, because he brought that over. He brought
that over. Mr. Brown has brought up 2 points about when he brought up Mr. Mahomes too. He said for years the NFL wanted Brady to win as the face of the NFL, and he would get calls like the Tuck call against the Raiders. And now that has passed on to Mahomes, who you cannot touch. And Patrick has the keys to the NFL. He said Kansas City 38. Oh, you think Kansas City 38, 49ers 31?
That's his prediction.
That's his prediction.
Before this year, I would have agreed with him. Maybe, but this year, they've been a little tough on him this year.
Don't let my husband hear that. Also, let me tell y'all. So my husband is a 49ers fan. And how about her husband is a Kansas City fan? And then we're both Cowboys fans. Isn't that how cute is that? Oh, Mr. Brown said rigged. Yeah, it's rigged. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I do think.
But I think that the point that you just made, I think it's something that younger players need to understand, that they were major. But he's not the only one. You got to think Kyler Murray had actually drafted before. He had even got he had got drafted by the NFL, and then he just chose the NFL over the A's. I think it was the Oakland A's. I think that he got drafted for. But Colin Kaepernick, even Tom Brady was drafted. In the MLB. Who was it? What's your boy at Denver? Sierra husband, Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
He was drafted.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of them that were also drafted and of course, you can always talk about Coach Sanders and Bo Jackson that actually played both. And I think it wasn't until maybe a couple of years ago that I realized that Coach Sanders actually played as long as both sports as long as he did.
Yeah,
like, I didn't realize. I thought it was maybe like a couple of years. Yeah, I thought maybe it was just maybe like a couple of years. I didn't realize it was like 9. It was like 9, 10, 11 years where he actually played both major sports. Yes, Mr. Brown said that Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence also played baseball. I know Justin could have easily had gotten. He played shortstop, and I know he could have easily probably could have gotten drafted as well. I did not know that Trevor Lawrence was, but I know Justin and Trevor both came out at the same time, and when they would go to camps, Justin would actually outplay Trevor and would actually get the MVP over Trevor Lawrence. But of course, Trevor Lawrence was the one that got drafted ahead of Justin Fields. So go for it. I mean, but I don't know. Yeah. So that's a good one. So he said, "What are your thoughts on?" Oh, don't he? Mr. Brown,
are we being trolled?
No, we're not being trolled. But he about to start some stuff though. So he said, "What is your thought on Seattle not running Marshawn Lynch in Super Bowl 2015?" And Russell throws that unbelievable pick that led to another Brady Super Bowl.
I feel the same way as Marshawn Lynch.
Like that was rigged. We not getting
because I'm not a Seattle fan.
Beast Mode's still mad about that.
I mean, and I don't blame him in the least bit. Yeah.
You can't blame him. Like, why would you not give him the ball?
Yeah.
Because when I mean, and I have a player like a couple of players like that on my team that, if we're 3-1, if we're on a goal line
Mm-hmm.
and, or we decide to go for it on fourth down, and we're like, look, we need these 2 yards. Very seldom do we not get it.
Right. Right.
But you're talking about the Super Bowl on the line.
The Super Bowl is on the line. Unbelievable. I think it goes back to like what you desire somebody to be and who you're dealing with, right? Like, I mean, if he could have put Russell Wilson's persona inside of Marshawn Lynch and had him be like this happy-go-lucky, positive dude all the time, would have, it probably would have gone a different way, right? But
Right.
he
is him.
Yeah, he's him. And he spoiled his quarterback, and it was very obvious. These are things that I'm hearing now that are coming out now, that he was very obvious about how he wanted to treat, which I'm sure happens a lot, but was on a whole new next level from what I'm hearing at Seattle. It was just, he wanted him to be that guy. And when it was time for him to show up that day, it ended up going left. Yeah. I mean, and I like both players. I think I like Russell Wilson. I like a good guy in football that, loves his wife and loves his family. I think that's great.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a great role model.
Right. You just got to know who you're dealing with.
But Sean Payton is a great coach. Why is he not getting the success at Denver that he did at Seattle?
Who now?
Why do you think Russell Wilson is not having the success in Denver that he had in Seattle?
Oh, because Sean Payton is not Pete Carroll. He's not having any of that. And I think that matters to people like him, right? I mean, I know that, you know this as the coach, you have to know who you're dealing with. You got to know who can take that extra screaming in the face, or, who you may need to pamper a little bit to say, hey, I know you got this. This is better. You are better than that, versus, that, and it's part, and it's like this may have a lot to do with what we were discussing in my group the other day with
Belichick.
If you want to be stoic in your style and not adjust it to deal with who you're actually dealing with, your success may not be as it was in the past.
I think we did talk about that in your group.
Yeah.
Like, how in the heck does what's his name?
Bill Belichick?
No. That got the job at Atlanta. Like, how did Raheem Morris? How in the heck did he get a job over the legend Bill Belichick? And exactly that's exactly it. They felt like that he could relate better to the players now,
right?
Than Belichick can, And I also kind of feel like that was the reason why Pete Carroll also was down. That maybe they're just getting and we even mentioned Nick Saban. Like, it's just a different era of athletes in this day and age, and they just can't. I don't know. I think they're just having a hard time relating to them. And it just, I think they're entitled. Just that whole entitlement mentality, I think, is just kind of becoming a cancer, all of athletics.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate and agree with NIL and college football, but there's a different new playing field out there for Coach Saban, right? Now he has to compete a little bit more for talent because people have that leverage, and players have that leverage,
and I think the NIL definitely evened the playing field,
right,
for other teams to compete with the Alabamas and the Georgias,
right?
Now they're no longer going to be I think at the top, and then next year we have a new FBS system, the new championship system, where it goes to 12 Mr. Brown, it goes to 12 teams next year. I think I should
Oh,
call
this
my
is
husband.
new to me. Please share.
Yeah. So next year it goes to 12 teams. So so
Okay.
like so my son's in the SEC, he plays for the
Okay.
University of Kentucky, right?
Okay.
And so we have a East and we have a West,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so the East and the West will end up playing in the SEC championship, and then that usually kind of determines who kind of just goes up. And then we had the whole controversy this past year with Florida State. That was an undefeated team. They won their conference.
Yeah.
And normally those top conferences are usually at that top 4.
Right. Yes.
But then the board decided not to put them in there.
Right.
Right. And so everybody was kind of just mad,
Right.
And so but if the program, the format that next year is going to be was this year, that wouldn't have happened.
Okay.
Does that make
Got
sense?
it.
Like they should have implemented that this year. Like they should have just been like, okay, let's go ahead and just do it this year.
Yeah.
Because I can see why they did it. And then at the same time, it didn't make sense because it's Florida. Again, it's Florida State.
Right.
Florida State has always been a powerhouse,
Right. It wasn't Oxnard Community College that they're.
Yes. They aren't some small little school that we've never heard of before.
Right.
They have made it. This is Florida State. This is Bobby Bowden's Florida. Florida State back in the day was killing everybody.
Yes.
They were the Alabama back in the day.
Right.
They were the Georgia back in the day. And so it's not like they weren't that before.
Right.
But so they were again, it's the ACC. I'm not going to knock the ACC, but I mean, if you look at the statistics, you get more players, and even up until this past season, the SEC has just dominated the championship.
Right.
But I also feel like that they created this new system, so it's like a 12-team system instead of 4.
Right.
Something like that, or instead of 6, something like that. And so now you have a better opportunity to make the championship game, even if you have maybe two losses.
Right.
But most of the time, if you got more than 2 losses, you're not getting ready to be in that top 4. You have to be either undefeated. And so, and again, Alabama had 2 losses. They had lost to they had lost that first game to Texas, and then who won the SEC championship?
I don't know.
I forgot. Alabama. I can't. And I watched it, girl. And I watched it. Right. So, because Alabama won it because Georgia they had beat Georgia. And again, Georgia had been dominating all season. Right. The SEC championship should not have made them drop out of the top 4.
Right.
But they did. But they shouldn't have dropped out of the top 4. So then when they did play Florida State, it was a blowout and it was a boring game. It was like 70-3 or something.
Yeah, they didn't care. They're protesting.
But they were blaming it on the fact that most of those Florida State players did not play. But when I went and looked at because we was arguing about this on social media as well. But when I went back, a lot of those players were sophomores, red shirt, and they weren't starters. But they said that there were a lot of starters that didn't play. And then I thought that was kind of I think that was kind of disturbing for me too, all the starters that didn't play, because to me, where was the pride? Like, where was the pride? In, okay, let's prove them wrong. And okay, and we're playing Georgia. Like, when you found out that you was playing Georgia, even though you went into the transfer portal, you still could play.
Right.
You didn't have to elect to not play. You could have still went to the transfer portal, but we're gonna still play just and beat Georgia, who still should have been one of the number 1 teams in the state and then in the nation. And then that way y'all can see that we were them. Why y'all should have still put us in the top 4. But instead they elected not to play. but I just would have just played for GP. I didn't like that mindset.
Right.
I
I
didn't
agree
like
with you. And as a competitor, I can understand that. However, if I was really looking to stick it to the system, and I understand how not doing that would make people turn the channel, because I turned the channel at some
I did
point,
too.
right? And that's
Yep.
what they're looking
At
for. They're
halftime.
looking for ratings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
turned the channel. I mean, I had turned the channel before halftime because the
Yeah.
game was over in the first quarter.
I'm like, what? This is
Yeah, it was
crazy.
boring. Boring.
Yeah.
And just like last year, even the year before, when Michigan played TCU, it was boring.
Yeah. Was it
Like,
Michigan or Alabama?
they beat Michigan, and then they
Okay.
ended up losing to Alabama, and it was a
Yes.
boring game.
Oh yeah, because I was watching that Alabama game, and the players were going up and getting chicken wings because they were blowing them. I'm like, this is so crazy.
It was blowing out. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
blowout. Like, you don't want to see a blowout in a
No,
championship.
not at all.
You
Yeah.
you don't want to see that. And so and then this year, even against Washington, you just wanted a more competitive game.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're changing the format next year. I think to try to make it more, to make sure that the teams that are supposed to be in the top 4
Right.
are in the top 4.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So I can't wait to see how that. So I just can't wait to see how that turns out. Yeah. So so we could talk football all day.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm like ready to start thinking about the draft. So one year I think it was just because how the pandemic had messed up the dates a little bit. I think it was closer to Mother's Day, and we had a mommy-daughter draft class, which I normally don't teach kids, but it was just so cute. The moms and the daughters just learning about the players, and it's a good way for them to learn about players and then just kind of follow their career as they progress in the NFL. So that was one class that I really enjoyed hosting.
Oh, that sounded fun.
Yeah.
So how did you develop it? Like, what did it look like?
So at the beginning of the class, I highlighted who I personally thought would be my top 10.
Was that the Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields all in that year?
Yes. That was actually that was, and who would be my top 10? And then I just did some analysis, showed some film, and then I taught them how to use the module, which wasn't there this year. The module within the NFL website on how to rank your teams and do your own draft, and then they had the opportunity at the end to submit who they thought their draft picks were, and then I gave the top person a prize.
Okay.
Or the top couple or mommy-daughter couple. So it was really nice. Yeah.
So I'm glad you brought up like the mother-daughter thing, because one of the things that I like in where you are from in California is that they're bringing more of the women's flag football to colleges there.
Yes.
I think y'all are spearheading that in California, and you're kind of setting that tone for girls to be able to play at the college level.
Yes. I have my dentist was sharing with me that his daughter plays flag football, and I had some extra water bottles from an event that I did. I'm like, here. But yeah, they are in different areas. They're starting them off in high school. One thing about it being National Women and Girls in Sports Day is that we're still seeing women have less options in sports. When I was coming up, playing football was not an option for me anywhere. Right. That was not even something that, and to be fair, I don't even know if my father would have entertained it. Right. He's just old school, but he did, teach me the game, and I would take stats for him for basketball and for football. So I became his stat girl, but I didn't have that opportunity to be able to play. And I've always felt that football is the consummate team sport. Like really everybody's got to
Yes.
play their part in order for it to be successful. And that's why I love it so much for girls. And during my fantasy football league, it was important for me to have this group, and it was a diverse group of women to come together and have a war room and to pick a fantasy team together, to agree on people together. One, to see how hard it is to do, because everybody has their opinions and
I
thoughts.
can't imagine being in a war room. I'd be like, you picking who? Like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be hard.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard. You know, it was great because it was a strong group of women, but it's so, that's why I enjoy the game so much, because it really is the consummate team sport. And it's great to see now that women have so many different opportunities to play it in different ways. You know, this is no disrespect for any woman who decides that she wants to do, the lingerie league, but it's not the only option. There are other options
No,
out
not at
there.
all. And I
So
always have to make that clear. No,
yeah.
my women are in full pads. It's regular football. It
Yes.
is not the lingerie league. Like I said,
Yes.
no shit against them. You know, and then I have several of my players that they started off playing flag football
Right.
until they found out about the tackle football. And then there's also a like a contact flag league somewhere. They play that. And then I have like 11 of my players that are going international. They have qualified for an international team because so they're going to
Olympics,
Colombia. It's not the Olympics, but they're going to Colombia to play an international game. Matter of fact, next weekend that they're going there to play in an international game. Because they've created a league internationally for women to play, and then I some of my players have even gone down there to teach those women how to play the game, and so it's getting a little bit more widespread. Like I said, a lot of my players play both. They play flag, and then there's those ones that they're like they content with flag because they don't want to get hit, which is understandable. Right. It's a collision sport. It's dangerous. You can get injured. We had some major injuries last year. But when I'm recruiting, I tell them, I said, my center is 51. My outside linebacker is 41.
Oh,
I got a tight end that's 45.
Oh,
right?
Wow. Okay.
So, So, yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, we're women, so we can kind of just take, we can just kind of take that. Here's one of my players that's on her way she's going to Colombia next week. She said we went to teach last February, and this time they get to play an actual game. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So last year they went to top, but this year they get to play the actual game. Yeah. So I'll definitely share that with you, with your team. And Casey, if you guys, I asked Nicole too, if you guys have a stream, if there's a live stream, let me know so that I can share that next week when you guys play. But yeah, so and then like I said, when our season starts on April the 27th, and we usually have a live stream, and then I'll definitely share with you like some of the major you know what you need to do?
What's that?
June 27th, I think, is our championship weekend in Canton. You should go with us.
Okay. That's Ohio, Canton, Ohio?
Yeah, where the Hall of Fame field is.
Okay.
So our championship weekend, so we have like different levels on our league. So we have like a D, kind of like college. So we have like the bottom league, then we have D3, D2, and then you have a pro. So my team has actually won the D3 championship a couple years ago, I think in 2020 or 2020. And then in 2022, they got bumped up to D2, and then they lost by 1 point in the D2 championship. And then last year we didn't do nothing, right? We didn't make the playoffs last year. So I mean, we're loaded again this year. There's no doubt in my mind that we're going to be in Canton,
Nice.
playing.
Mm-hmm.
But I went last year, and it was
Mm-hmm.
just an amazing experience, just being around a
Okay.
lot of women that love the game of football the way we do.
Yeah.
So about 4 of my girls played, and then there's an all-star game. So there's an all-star game that's played. We did like a camp for the girls, a flag camp for girls that
Mm-hmm.
they held up there. And then they had the D2 championship. Then they had the D2, D3 championships. But the main pro championship is televised on ESPN2.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, it's televised on ESPN. And so Boston has won it, I think, like the last 4 years. But Boston also has the backing of the Patriots.
Oh, okay. Okay. I hear you.
like the owner of the Patriots lets them use their private jet to fly out and go to places.
Nice.
They got it like that. And so they've kind of dominated. They've kind of been the Patriots.
Right.
They've really kind of dominated the league 4 years. So we're D2. So in order for us to get to the pro level, we have to win the D2, and then we get bumped up to the pro level. Then but we do play against like 3 pro teams. We'll play against 3 pro teams this year.
Okay.
And so it'll be interesting to how they, like I said, I'm excited about this season. It's gonna be fun. We got a great group of women, and I think that they're ready to play this year.
That's
Not
great.
That they weren't last year, but last year was just, I don't know, it was just different.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited for your season. Definitely share that.
Oh, she said we had to do it through Facebook last year. I think Bama streamed it last year. Okay, gotcha. There was a guy that's on, I know ours were on YouTube. There was a guy through YouTube that there was a YouTube screen, but I'll make sure that I'm, during the games or whatever like that I get them posted, and I'll either inbox you the link so that you can post it in your group, but it'll definitely be on my page.
Okay.
And I'll definitely let you, you'll get our schedule, and you'll be able to see all that.
Perfect.
Yeah, but anyway, so let me recap your class, girl. Recap your class. So everybody, first is called. Oh, wait a minute! I got a link. This is how you find her. Go to footballgoddess.com.
Yes. That is me. Yes. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to. I teach all levels, and it doesn't matter if you know nothing about football. Like, that is my specialty, is to take someone. I'm most proud when I find somebody who knows very little, and then the next thing they're calling me. And even if it's just piquing the interest, I have one of my mentors actually worked out in Cleveland, and she's a trainer, and she wasn't really into football, but I was just so proud when she texted me and she was like, "Hey, what do you think Cleveland's going to do about their quarterback situation?" And I was like, "Gotcha." I gotcha. It bit you. The football bug will bite you, and there's no coming back.
Yeah, once you start asking those questions, it is a wrap. And then, especially when you do, because I've never done the fantasy, because my husband does it every year. He's like, "You gonna get in?" He asks me every year if I'm gonna get into the fantasy. I'd be like, I just get it'll just consume just too much of my time.
Yeah, it's a long season, I tell you.
Yes. To me, it's just like now. We don't have a schedule, but I think I kind of got a general idea of who we might play. So I'm already looking at film already, right?
Yeah.
Because it just consumes me.
Right.
And I was like, no, I just can't do it, because it'll just take up too much of my time, and then I got to do all the research and who's injured and who's, And then now you have to look at what Vegas is doing, because what Vegas is doing could actually, impact how you choose and who you put on and who you don't put on, and
Yeah.
and oh my God, it is a mess. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is a mess. But yeah, once you get that bug and you love football the way we love football,
Yeah.
you'll be like, girl. And it ain't
Yeah.
nothing like going to get in your gear and
Yeah.
wearing your gear, and oh yeah. I'm up here, but my husband has like a whole shrine of 49er stuff.
Oh, I'm
Looks like a
sorry.
shrine. Yeah, it looks
Is
like
it
a
split?
shrine.
Is it split? No, is it half Cowboys, half 49?
It's all 49 up
Oh
here,
no.
because I don't never come up here, so I ain't ever got to see it. Normally, I only come up here. This is upstairs just to do my live, because they be loud down, because he'll get loud downstairs, or the dog will get loud downstairs, and so I'll come up here to do my podcast. But yeah, that's the only time girl, ain't nobody studying up 49 stuff.
Not at all.
I've been hearing bang bang Niner game
Oh
for
my goodness. I'm so sorry. I didn't experience that.
bang
It's like
bang Niner
I
game.
don't feel as bad, that my husband's a Chiefs fan, because they're AFC. So it's not,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no rivalry there like there is with the 49ers. So it's not it's not that bad. And I did I don't know if you saw that, but I did share that last year I purchased, it was a surprise for him because I've never done this before. I purchased a Kansas City Chiefs sweatshirt to wear on the day of the Super Bowl in solidarity with him, and he was so shocked. Like, I don't think there's anything cute I could have wore that would have been that would have held the candle to that.
And a shirt, and I can't find that shirt for nothing. I have a 49er shirt and a hat. I got the hat is where his shrine is, but I have no idea where my 49er shirt is, because I think we did a bet one day because they were playing, and I was like, I don't know. Yeah, and I lost, and I had to wear it, and I haven't seen that shirt since. I ain't even gonna lie. I have no idea where that 49 shirt is.
It's a pile.
Yeah, I probably threw that mug straight in the garbage. Yeah, but I don't know where. Yeah, I don't know where it is. Yeah, so I'm torn. I'm like you. I wanna root in solidarity with my husband with the 49ers, but my cousin is Jadarius Sneed, number 38.
He's a baller, by the way.
Man, he
Love
is
him.
a baller. He is a
Love him.
baller. A lot of my friends are I grew up in Kansas, so at one time I was a Kansas. Well, I was always a Dallas fan, but I rooted for Kansas City when Derek Thomas was there, because I'm from Alabama, so I was always a Derek Thomas fan.
Yeah.
So I was a fan when and I still, like I said, I still root for Kansas City. As long as they're not playing the Cowboys, I root for Kansas City. Yeah,
right.
I do. I root for them, because my family plays for them. But this game, I was torn. But 49ers are loaded.
Yeah, they can't get 6 before us. Like, that's my thing. They can't get 6. We can't let that happen.
But if they do, they do. But in all fairness to them, they've been in 3 Super Bowls in the last 5 years?
True. That's right. Yeah.
The same coach under Shanahan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Shanahan is a good coach. I mean, and he's an offensive coach. I mean, so I wanted to learn how to be an offensive coordinator, and I would love to learn under him, because he's doing something right.
I agree. He's
doing something right. The offense is always on point, and they're loaded. Yeah. I mean, it helps that they're loaded. But you have Mr. Irrelevant at quarterback, and you're still and you're going to the Super Bowl.
Exactly. He has all of the weapons around him to be successful, and they figured out what he can do well, and that's where it goes to knowing who you have, right? Knowing who you have. Yeah. And I always make jokes, about how much he's making, because it's like it's so little compared to what Patrick Mahomes is making. And also he's in San Francisco, which is like, I mean,
cost of living is way higher.
ridiculous. So it doesn't, even though it sounds like a lot of money in San Francisco, he's probably maybe upper middle class, you know, after taxes and everything.
Yeah.
So, you know, give that boy a raise. He took you to the Super Bowl.
but regardless, he took you to the Super Bowl. He should get a decent contract, right?
That's right.
And I don't know if they'll I don't know if they'll draft a quarterback and keep him.
Yeah.
I mean, why not go ahead and keep him? I mean, he led you to the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah, he did what he needed to do. He used. I was shocked. He used his legs. I was like, "What?"
I would draft his backup since you let
Garoppolo.
You let Garoppolo go. Oh, my husband couldn't stand him.
Yeah, and Trey Lance.
My husband's a 49, and then we have Trey Lance now.
Yeah.
But my husband couldn't stand. He didn't like Alex Smith. He didn't like Kaepernick. And he didn't like Garoppolo.
Yeah, I can see that.
He didn't.
I can see as a fan why you wouldn't like those quarterbacks.
He didn't like any of them.
Yeah,
but he likes Purdy.
Yeah,
but he likes Purdy. So I was like, okay, right. But they still need to draft his backup, a true backup for him. Because who's the backup? Is it still that little black kid?
Is it Sam Darnold? I thought it was Sam Darnold who used to. Darnold? I thought I think so. I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't know.
I think I'm only remembering last season when
he got hurt. That kid's not. I don't remember who that was.
Hurt, and then we went to the fourth string, and there was a little black kid. And I can't even know I'm so bad. I can't even think of his name. Right. And so
I don't know if he was
still there, you know, because Trey Lance was traded because Trey was hurt. Yeah,
that's right. He was hurt.
So it was the starting with Garoppolo was the starter. He got injured. Then Trey Lance came in. He got injured. Then Purdy came in. He got injured, and then they had to bring in the fourth string quarterback. Last year. Yeah, and had no idea who he was. I
know we don't go that deep on the roster,
right? So I didn't know if he was still there, right? So I don't know. So they probably, it would be interesting to see. You know, there's a couple of, they can either do a trade. They can either do a trade because they're loaded. So they can either do a trade. I don't know if they'll do a trade for somebody to come sit the bench though. I think that they should draft. I think they should draft a quarterback to come sit the bench.
Yeah.
The backup.
I don't know. I try not to start thinking about this yet, but I'm not sure who's free agents also on the 49ers next year, and you know who they're going to have to pay to stay, that kind of thing. So all of that I'm sure will play in.
They're loaded. You know, it's going to be very difficult to keep that team together like that because everybody's going to want their money.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I can't wait to go. I might, when we get off, I might have to go and see who the free agent, who's on at the end of their contract this year, just to see. But if you look at the history of them, they're on again, off again, on again, off again. They have a good year, then they come back and they stink it up, and then they figure it out, and then they always come back with a good year. So it's like every other year, it's a crapshoot with the 49ers.
Yeah. Well, you know, I was looking at my history, my memories, and I was every year I would call my father, and we would give our Super Bowl analysis. He would give me his, and I noticed a trend. He never went against the veteran quarterback. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I am going to do this week.
So you're going with the veteran quarterback and Mahomes. and hey, he's already been to the Super Bowl, so there's no pressure. Yeah, all the pressure's going to be on Purdy. You know,
they're not even supposed to be there. Everybody was expecting the 49ers to get there, right? I don't think, especially around game 7 or 8, anybody was expecting the Chiefs to be there. So, yeah. I mean, I'm looking, I I was watching the game against the Ravens, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what
happened to the offense, right? And then I'm seeing these like, why didn't you run? Like normally when Lamar would run, he would run, and then and I felt like maybe it was like, well, let me prove to them that I am a pocket quarterback. Like
I was thinking that same thing. I
felt
don't
he might
like
have got
that.
caught up in what people were saying, and then was trying to prove them wrong, as opposed to just playing his game.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And if they could have, I mean, they were real close, but your cousin got at them. They were real close. They were real close because the Chiefs didn't score the second half. Once they stopped the running game, and it was a wrap for them. So they're going to have to do, in order to win tomorrow, they're going to have to stay consistent with the running. It's my analysis. The Chiefs are going to have to stay consistent with the running game. The receivers will have to not drop balls. Everybody's going to have to step up.
Is Tony playing this game?
I don't know. They may. I don't know. I don't even know if he's in Vegas. I haven't seen any interviews with him in it. Say that again.
I said, did they bench him last game because in the Ravens game because they was afraid he was going to drop the ball?
There were two things that were out in the internet world. And I think there was a tweet that he was having a kid, and there was a tweet that he was injured, and he denied that he was injured. So I'm not sure exactly overall what exactly happened, but I've watched a few interviews, and I haven't seen any interviews with him in it. That's all I will say. I do not know, but everybody's going to have to step up on the offensive side because, as we know,
are loaded.
Exactly. There's not a lot of room for error. Yeah. And Patrick Mahomes will run if he needs to run.
He's going to run the ball if he has to run the ball.
Yes.
He's very restrictive about that. Right. But that's also I think the disadvantage of the 49ers, because Purdy's I think he did run one last game, and everybody was shocked.
That's what I was saying. I was shocked. He did. He ran twice.
It was like 30,
I was surprised. I'm like, you guys gotta.
Yes.
That's why I was like, you guys making Purdy look like Mike Vick. What are you doing here? Close.
And so I don't know if that was something that he did on his own, or if it was set up that way because they know he was a pocket passer and didn't expect him to run. And so so somebody in the booth might have been like, hey, they're backing off of you because they know you're not going to run the ball. So run the ball.
Right.
Because they're giving it to you.
Right.
And that's where, you gotta, your coaches just gotta coach. They have to look at those tendencies, and you've got to play chess and not checkers, and not do the obvious and not do the obvious. But when it comes to obvious, the Lions coach should have kicked the field goal.
Thank you. I'm like, why are people mad at us? Your coach should have kicked the field goal.
I understand what you did all season, that you took the risk, but this is trying to get you to the Super Bowl. You should have kicked the freaking field goal.
Right. Kick the field goal.
Sometimes you have to do the obvious. You should have kicked the field goals.
I agree.
At least get the points. And then I don't know what happened to the defense in the second half.
Yeah, it was. I was actually sad for the Detroit fans because
I wanted to see Detroit. I wanted to see Detroit and the Ravens in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
That's what I wanted to see. I'm not mad at my Kansas City fans. Don't be mad at me. Again, I'm glad y'all back in it again. And and then here we are with the 49ers, and they're solid. They're solid. three. What's this? The fourth time out of 5, 6, 7 years, 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see, because Kaepernick took them.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy G took them. Jimmy Garoppolo took them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this one. Was there another one?
No, I think that you're right. There might be three within the last 5 years, if I'm
It's
not
like
mistaken.
3 in the last 5 years. Yes.
That's still a lot.
Huh? Yeah. That's 3 in the last 5 years that they've been in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Right. Because when Cap, let me see, the game with Cap, was it game with Cap? That was when Williams dropped them to that punt return. He bobbled a punt return.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then there was something else that he did. He had two major errors in that game. His name is Williams. I don't even know if he's still in the league. And then I don't remember what happened with Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G threw some picks.
Yeah.
I think so. I think he threw some picks that cost him the game.
Right.
Who did they play?
Was it
Kansas City?
It had no, wait.
No,
the Eagles wasn't sorry, no, it had to be an AFC team. Was it Bengals? Was the Bengals?
The Bengals played the Rams and lost to the Rams.
Okay. Was it the
I forgot who they. Jimmy G. No, Cap was against the Ravens, right?
Yeah.
Because that was when Harbaugh was still coaching.
That's correct.
Cap was there. And then I think that year after that was when Shanahan took over. My husband's on the phone. Normally he would have done broke all this down. He's nosy and watching. And so, because normally he'd be, he's all nosy and be all up in my business on here. So normally he'll tell me, but yeah. Anyway, but girl, it's been an hour, 20 minutes. Girl, it was only supposed to be an hour. My bad. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much for having me.
I wasn't even paying attention to the time.
Yeah, so that means we have to do this again. So
we will have to do it. We will have to do it again. We might have to do it after the draft just to kind of see what
I like that idea. Perfect.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to do it something after the draft, and then we could talk. The draft, because I love having the opportunity to talk football with women. And we just come with a different perspective. And
exactly.
And I'm definitely gonna like I said, let you know about championship weekend. I would love to meet you out.
Oh, absolutely. That sounds great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So it's just women playing.
Yeah.
So you've been to the Hall of Fame, right?
I haven't been to the Hall of Fame. No, this would be my first visit.
I tell you, you will I'm moving here and living in the Hall of Fame, because it is unbelievable to walk through that Hall of Fame. I mean, if you're a fan, it is, I can't even there's no amount of justice that I can give to talk about the Hall of Fame that could give it any type of justice, because it's one of those situations where you just got to go see it for yourself, because it is unbelievable. It is unbelievable if you're a football fan.
Yes, it's definitely on my list.
Yes. So yeah, I was glad to get that knocked off my bucket list. And so then the hubby wants to. So he just had a total knee replacement. So now we can, hopefully after this year, we can travel if I don't get broke down. I got my ankles and stuff are acting a fool. But our bucket list is to start going to the 49ers and Cowboys game every year. So either coming out there or going to Dallas. So we'll see.
Nice. I love it. The Super Bowl is in San Francisco in 2 years. So hopefully our Cowboys will win this year and next year.
Next year it's in New Orleans.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that would be so cool. Yeah, if it's in San Francisco. Yeah, especially if
Yeah.
San Francisco and the Cowboys are in it, are in it again. So we'll see. But I don't think they're gonna be able to keep this. I don't know how they're gonna be able to keep this team together. They are loaded, and everybody's gonna start wanting their
Yes.
money,
Yeah,
and
they
it's
got
gonna
to
be
pay
very
Micah
difficult.
Parsons. I know that. They got to pay CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, for
So,
Dallas. Yeah, I don't know how they. Yeah, I'm just saying both teams. I
Yeah.
was saying 49ers, but yeah, I don't know how. I think that we didn't even talk about them. I don't.
Yeah.
Dallas. So they owe Dak 56 million this year.
So I thought it was 57,
57
50.
million.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. He's not worth that. Look at my face.
Listen, statistically, see, I listen. I will always go back to the stats, and the reason why I do that is because sometimes when Dak makes mistakes that look like, like
Yeah. Yeah.
my 12-year-old nephew should have been able to
Like
make that play.
like
You know,
Stevie Wonder can see
we forget
that
that
you
his
not
stats were
you're
like
not
on
supposed to
par
throw
with.
that ball. Yeah.
Say that again.
Stevie Wonder can see some of that.
Yes, exactly. We forget that his statistics were on par with Lamar Jackson and in some areas higher,
Yeah, he was on the
So
MVP. Had
yeah, I
MVP
mean, it's
numbers.
just you got to win,
He
and
did have his best year
yeah, and part of me,
statistically.
I do resent that mindset a little bit of if you don't win, it negates your season and your whole career because there's so many great football players who never won a Super Bowl. So many great football players who
Dan
never.
Marino was one.
Yeah, Dan Marino. I
You're
mean,
not getting ready to tell me that.
LaDainian Tomlinson,
Yes,
Philip
absolutely.
Rivers, like,
Barry Sanders.
exact Barry Sanders. There's so many who have not won a Super Bowl, and I think I understand that that's the holy grail, but it can't just be that because there's 32 teams, only 2 get to go every year, and that's just a fact. Everybody's everybody's elite, so it's a punching match. It's a sparring match every game, and to the winner goes the spoils.
And that's
Tiffeany
fact. Yeah. And that's
Lombardi
fact.
to the yeah.
Yeah, that's fact. All right. Well, thank you so
Have a
much
good night. It's late for you. I still have like a long evening left.
Oh, I forgot that you're on the West Coast, so it's still easy. Early for you. But
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for sharing your platform.
Absolutely. And guys, if you got any women that want to learn the game of football, go to www.footballgoddess.com. Let Tiffeany create you a custom. She can actually do a custom made program for a group and learn the game. But first, just start watching the game. Just start watching the game and listen to the commentators. That's kind of how I learned it. But definitely go to her game. Also go to if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see that I tagged her group, and go to her group and join her group because you will learn so much in that. She talks, she puts a lot of information in there that really, really just helps you with the game of learning it. And it's a great community of women that want to learn the game, and it's so fun. And it's a safe place for us too. We don't, there's none of that. We don't have any men aren't able to come in there and say something, because whenever I go to a group or something and talk football, there's always some man that's got to come and say something to me and question. And I throw it right back at him. I was like, but you haven't said nothing to any of the men in the group, but you got to say something to me.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Mr. Brown said maybe you have to have his wife contact you. She said she thought LeBron played for the Patriots.
Oh. Oh. That is too cute. That is too cute. Yes, please have her.
Now
I can hey, I mean I love basketball too, so if we go there.
That is so funny. Anyway, guys, you guys can find us find me on Hits and Heels every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Anyone that wants to be a guest, please just go ahead and inbox me and reach out. Especially if you are any type of women in sports, I definitely want that. Thank you, Mr. Brown, for saying it was a great show.
Thank you.
We got some, we still got a lot of people, good people that are lined up. Great guests, just like we had tonight with Tiffeany. Tiffeany Roderick is her name, and go
Thank
to
you.
www.footballgoddess.com. Tiffeany, don't log off, but I am going to end the stream.
Okay.
Guys, make sure you guys go and like our Facebook page, and also go to our YouTube channel, Hits and Heels, and subscribe. And y'all have a good night. Love you.